Welcome world, episode 179 of the Great American Hip Hop Debate Podcast. We are in the Diamond District studio, home of the legendary Platinum Plus, one of my favorite producers of all time, the brother Rsonist of the Heatmakers, brother Rsonist.
Thank you for having
us, man. It's a pleasure, it's an honor. We're gonna get into your whole career, everything from your beginning, producing for cannabis. That's what I have as your first credit. I'm sure you have stuff before that wasn't credited.
That's the first credit.
All right, so we're gonna get into that. We're gonna talk all of Dipset. We're gonna talk El Capo, Purple Haze. We're gonna talk one of my favorite songs. My favorite song of all time, Once Upon a Time in Harlem. We're gonna talk you behind the mic on the Rush album. We're gonna talk some of your other projects with artists such as Joel Ortiz, Fred the Godson, Josh Stone. We'll talk your equipment, your influences, your personal favorite producers.
My brother Nino Gully.
Your personal favorite rapper, absolutely. Shout out to the brother Nino Gully, who actually played a big hand in connecting us. So big shout out to him. Shout out to the brother Petey Crack, too, who was recently in SOBs for the benefit concert for the homie Royal Flush, who was battling cancer. If y'all are out there, please make sure y'all go. Yeah, man, he's battling cancer. So make sure y'all hit the GoFundMe. Help him out. You know, we trying to keep hip hop alive. But we're here today. Look around, this shit is fire, matte, platinum, gold plaques, big ass speakers, the Incredible Hulk, crack music. I hear the drop almost every day. Leading up to coming to this interview, I went back through the files. I was bumping all the classic joints, man, classic Dipset, Jewels, El Capo, which you did every song sequenced and everything. We're gonna get into that, one of my favorite albums. Also, Purple Haze 2. We actually have an episode, if y'all go back in the files, where we debated which was the better album, Purple Haze 2 or Capo.
You gotta send me that.
I don't remember who won. I
gotta see the arguments.
I think actually El Capo won. I was the only one fighting for Purple Haze 2 because, you know, we gotta like. It's a debate show, so everybody can't be on the same page, right?
It's a win for me either way.
Yeah, man. But
I'm not mad.
Shout out to my brother Bloodshot. When I was out in Tampa, man, we listened to El Capo back to back. So shout out to that. But let's go back to the beginning. Before all of that stuff, before Dipset, before social media, Akai, before everything. When did you first realize, or when did you first fall in love with music, period?
It's gonna sound crazy, but I fell in love with music as a challenge. Like my homeboy, he used to DJ. And he told me he was a better DJ than me, and I told him I was better than him, but I didn't have equipment yet.
Okay.
So I got two bullshit belt-driven turntables, probably some Gemini shit. I don't remember the brand. Newmark, might have been Newmark or some shit like that. And in the midst of me trying to get better than him, I fell in love with just the way music operated. You know what I mean? Like being able to take music and change somebody's mood.
Okay.
I fell in love with that.
The DJ has a certain power, bro. And you mentioned belt drives. Shout out to my brother, the Black Don. He was my first DJ partner, and we started with two Gemini BD10 belt drive joints that the belt used to snap, and we used to have to tape them or glue them together. And that was the very, like, I remember. Shout out to my cousin as well, Anthony. He was the first person that ever let me get on his equipment. Right. And then after that, I remember asking for equipment, and the BD10s came through. And I remember the first two albums I bought. Was I Like Big Butts and I Cannot Lie, Sir Mix-a-Lot, and Jodeci Lately. And I've told this story on the podcast before, like them shits didn't mix, bro.
First album I bought was 36 Chambers.
Your first vinyl wax purchase was 36 Chambers?
The whole album. I bought the whole album, and I bought the single to Protect Your Neck, so I can, because I didn't have the money to buy all the singles and I just bought Protect Your Neck, and I bought the full album so I could kind of go back and forth, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. And did they sound different?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the single had higher quality.
Yeah.
But anytime you had, which I learned later, on a record, when it's a bunch of songs on the record, it's always going to be lower quality because the grooves, they're said that the wider the grooves, the better the sound.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. I don't know how true it is, but I would think so.
So when you finally got your equipment and you started DJing, did you and your man battle?
No, we just kind of used to share records at times, and until he just stopped doing it all together, and then I ended up going off to college, and I picked up there. I went to Howard University, and then when I got to Howard, I was DJing in different clubs and meeting different DJs and really falling in love with DJing.
Shout out to that, man.
Yeah,
Howard.
for sure.
Shout out to everybody out.
And I was in Howard the same time as me and Guru went to Howard together. I don't know if you remember the artist Tracy Lee.
I was listening to Tracy Lee yesterday.
Right,
you know the theme is not on DSPs.
It's not?
Nah, you can only get. There's only one version on it, and it's on a pre-mix.
He's a lawyer. Maybe he took that shit off.
Yeah, he's a lawyer now.
He probably took that shit off.
That's bugged out. I swear to God, yesterday, because I walked into work singing.
They were in the
theme.
same, like Guru and Trey Lee was part of the same. I think the name of the thing was called Rooftop back then. But it was Guru, Trey Lee, a couple other people, a dude by DJ Supreme, a bunch of people. And so I met Guru out there. With everything came back full circle when I seen him again in Baseline with Jay-Z, and I was with Dipset, and you know, so it's a small world.
Shout out to that, man. Shout out to Tracy Lee, though, bro. Word.
Yeah, big shout out to Tracy Lee.
That's funny that you mentioned that, man. So as you're in college and you're DJing, and mind you, this was the day of crates and actually traveling your shit
hurting
around.
Your hands on crates, carrying them up steps.
And you needed like a
I had
little
about
team.
if I had 8 crates, I had 6 were crates, and like at that time 2 were flight cases. I couldn't really afford to buy flight cases for everything.
Yeah.
You know, over time you start making some money, you buy more and more flight cases, but it was like 6 milk crates and 2 flight cases.
That's a rite of passage that DJs don't have anymore.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like.
And how about, I know you remember this, you go into a party, you got 8 people with you helping carrying your crates.
Yeah, of course.
What happened on the way home?
Oh, nobody. No.
You by yourself.
Yo, I remember one time I had to leave a party and use a shopping cart to get my shit around.
Of
like
course.
an A&P shopping cart, because that was the only thing I saw that could like help me at the moment, man. So shout out to all these new age DJs that walk around with just a laptop and a plug, bro.
And think that life is hard.
Yeah, and be complaining. Right. Yeah, we was just talking.
You throw your shit in your book bag and go to the club. Meanwhile, you had to borrow your man's car before your man got a van. You'll call such and such with the van.
Hell yeah, and you had to bring your speakers.
God forbid, if it was one of those parties.
And
always.
We were just talking before we started
Forgot your
recording.
needles to the turntable.
Or needle breaks.
That's what I'm saying to you.
The struggle. We were just talking before we came on air about the availability of music now and how easy it is to get any song you want, the instrumental version, the acapella version. If you can't find it, you can make it yourself on Serato. And back in the day, it used to be a struggle. But I kind of want to say it was a beautiful struggle to go find a record.
No, it was, because we appreciated it back then. And I don't want to sound like the old dude trying to say it was better back then. I'm not trying to paint that picture at all. What I will say is that you appreciated it more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Anything that's too readily available is not valuable.
Right.
It can't be.
Right.
If I could go outside this door right now and every car on the street was a Bentley, Bentleys wouldn't be worth shit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing with music. If I can go in any particular spot and listen to anything at any time, how valuable can it be?
Exactly.
So, you know.
Exactly. And you know, an element that's missing is also just the network aspect of it. Right? You go to your record store, you build a relationship with your record store person.
Right.
Or you bump into another DJ, or you bump into a rapper, artist, whatever the case may be. And now you're out there, you're networking, you're building these relationships. Homeboy from the record store might call you like, yo, I got
Yeah, those days are gone, man.
Yeah.
Those days are gone. And I know, like, I used to try to hold on to those days, but I've learned that in order for me to stay sane, I can't think about those days.
Yeah.
Those days are far gone. You know what I'm saying? Now it's everybody gets 15 minutes.
Yes.
Everybody.
And you either
But it's all different in their own right. In the sense of somebody might go viral once. That's the high point of their life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's like everybody gets their 15 minutes. If somebody's used to getting 500 views on a video and they put up a particular video and they get 10,000, that's their 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We all get our 15 minutes in different forms, but we all get it. And that's the way the world is structured today, which is kind of, I don't know, it's sad in a sense. And you know what I mean? It's sad in a sense because not everybody, I want to say everybody, because a lot of people, some people don't have social media.
Right.
Like my wife doesn't have social media, never has.
Amen to that, bro.
But for the people that have it, whether they say it or not, they chase that.
Yeah.
They want it at least once.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I've seen people that get excited from their posts going from 45 likes to 145 likes.
Right.
And to me, I could never understand that because I'm like, but people like you in real life.
Right.
Why do you care about this?
Validation.
But you're validated in real life. How can you be validated from you don't even know half the people that's liking these pictures.
They seek false validation, bro. That's why people, you know, they live a lifestyle on the internet that is not realistic to their actual lifestyle, right? Because the conversation we were having earlier, everybody wins on the internet.
Right.
Nobody's posting.
They can paint that picture, of course.
Yeah, nobody's posting their L's or their failures.
Some are.
Those are the ones we connect more, in my opinion.
But here's the thing. There's a flip side to it. Some people want sympathy for their L's so much that all they post is their L's. And you're like, nigga, come on.
I gotta...
Like, nobody's life could be this bad. Relax. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. I don't want that either. But what I'm saying is there has to be a balance.
Right.
With the good, there's bad. To me, you can only know how good something is if you know how bad something was.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah, of course.
It's like if it's raining today, the sun will look better tomorrow.
Right.
That's the only way it could work.
There can be no light without no dark.
Right. If I lived in sunlight my whole life, I wouldn't appreciate it because I'm expecting it. But to me, you have to walk through the rain to really love the sun. And people don't understand that. They want to walk they want to walk in the sun every day.
Right.
I understand how life works, especially at this point in my life. I understand how life works. It's not always going to be good.
Right.
But when it's bad, learn to smile when it's bad.
Right. The struggles are always going to make you a stronger person, a stronger artist, whatever your field is. Right. Those struggles are what's going to give you character and strength and actually make you better. Like, if you make every shot all the time, you're not going to want to practice because you figure everything's going in. Yeah.
And that's the thing too, man, because even it's good because you said that, because life is not always going to hand shit to you. Mm-hmm. You understand? And once you're comfortable with being uncomfortable, you'll be great. Yeah. A lot of people don't see it like that. They like, yo, I can't, shit is too hard. Why me? What do you mean? We all got problems. You know how they have the saying that said, if you put down your problem next to somebody else, you probably pick your shit back up?
Yep. Yep. Because people out there got
I think like that all the time. It's like, yeah, I might be going through shit, but my life is great, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going through shit, but that's inevitable. Everybody goes through shit. Yeah. But on the flip side of shit, my life could be so much worse. This shit is beautiful to me. Yeah. Regardless of what's going on, what bad thing might be going on, my life is beautiful.
Yeah, if it's 10% bad and 90% good, bro, appreciate the 90. The 10 is going to come.
And even the 10% bad is kind of like, you just don't want to deal with it, but it is what it is. It comes with life. Yeah. Nobody's going to be here forever, so it's like, you might have a point in your life where you look around and you're like, I'm losing people left and right. But it's life. You think people around you going to stay alive forever? Yep. So it's like either you're losing people around you or you're the one they lost.
Yep. Especially when you hit a certain age. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I want to give some real quick shout outs. Shout out to my co-host VSOP, who's not here today. He's actually off on another assignment interviewing another artist. He just suffered a loss. So rest in peace, condolences and love to him and the family. And shout out to my other brother, B Wise, who recently lost his mom. So rest in peace to her, love to her.
Yeah, condolences to her, man. I never want to hear that. Condolences to her.
That's a sad thing. But, you know, we were having a conversation before that. It's like, you get to a point in life that you realize a lot of the shit you stress about, a lot of the shit you worried about, especially in your earlier years, none of that shit really matters, man. What's important to you or what should be important to you is, you know, spending time with your family, doing the right thing, connecting with God, you know, keeping yourself healthy and stuff.
If a lot of people live by the saying, this too shall pass, your life will be great, man. Yeah. Just understand that. Think about the problems you had 5-10 years ago and how they stressed you out. Yeah. You can't even remember these shits no more.
How you'd be like almost ready to kill
this is what I'm saying to you. It's like now you fast forward, you like, oh, I made it. I'm all right. Yeah. You might have been with a chick and y'all going through problems and y'all about to break up and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to make it without her. Fast forward to years later, you haven't spoken to this chick in probably 5-6 years. And you're like, the fuck, what's I bugging about? Yeah. That's how life is, man. Like, you just got to tell yourself in the moment, shit will get better. This too shall pass. What am I worried about? I'm good.
And don't be afraid to say a little prayer, man. Prayer
of course.
While we're on that subject, I have to tell you on camera, in front of everybody, I have to give you your props and thank you for a song you produced called Once Upon a Time in Harlem by Jim Jones featuring Cameron. And I think Joel's is on the hook.
No, Joel's wasn't on the hook. He was in the video. Wasn't on the hook.
He was in the video, but he was dancing. My favorite song of all time, I believe it dropped in 2017, or at least that's when I discovered it. It popped up randomly on my YouTube algorithm, the video. And I remember I'm a Jim Jones fan. That's well known.
You know you're going to get some pressure in the comments.
No, that's okay. I'm always getting pressure. I once said Lil Wayne's the most overrated rapper ever.
You said that?
Yeah. And I believe it. And people love Lil Wayne, bro. But back to the story.
Go ahead.
Once Upon a Time in Harlem. this song, it came to me. It came to me. I'm gonna say it like that. It came to me at a dark time, and that shit gave me back life. And I listen to it to this day anytime I'm down. Sometimes when I'm just up, and I never play it just once. Like I gotta listen to it about 3-4 times and really like get that shit in my veins, bro. So I want to thank you for producing that song.
Thank you for listening,
and
man.
putting it out. And shout out to Jim for what he says on it. Shout out to Cam because Cam delivers a crazy verse
like
on it.
people don't understand that's the like the money is one thing, man. From selling records and making money off of records is cool, but to hear you say shit like that is better than any dollar amount that I could get from music, man.
Yeah,
and I think people might think I'm bugging when I say that, but the people that would say that haven't been in the music industry long enough. Because any true musician will tell you like a compliment like that means more than any check that could come from a label. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, my brother. I appreciate that for sure.
I always say music is art, right? And I always love feeling what the artist feels. Another one of my favorite songs, for example, is Harold Melvin, I Miss You.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel him, I feel that pain in him. Yeah. So when I heard Once Upon a Time in Harlem, I felt like the choir in there. I felt it
felt like it was singing to you.
Yeah, man.
It felt like that choir was singing directly to you. I know that's how that sample felt when I was putting that beat together. It was almost like divine intervention because that earlier that morning is when Jim said, "Yo, send me something." And I just felt like it was a challenge, like, send you side. And I didn't know what I was going to do because I told you, around that time in my career, mentally I was confused as to what the people wanted from me.
Right.
And I just said, fuck it, I'm going to make what I know.
Did you feel you were on like a downward trend at that time?
1,000,000%.
And this was around 2016, 2017, more or less. So
yeah, between. So from any time, from like 2012 to 2016, I was trying to figure out my sound.
And at that time, there was a shift in sound, no? Like
yeah.
That was when trap was taking over.
Yeah, trap was taking over. That was like when shit like Panda was out, and who else was winning around that time? I mean, Drake been winning for years, but
that motherfucker don't lose. Shout out to Drake though.
Yeah, big shout out to Drake. But like that type of music, Future,
like
Young,
that
Designer, Future,
bounce.
That type of shit was winning. So I don't make that.
Right.
So for me, it was like, and I wasn't really consistently working with Dipset at that time. So it was like, I had to find my own identity. Like, how do I get the people to fuck with Heatmakers?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and it was just a process for me. But to bring everything full circle, when I made Once Upon a Time is when I said, okay, click, this is it. Regardless of what they want this feeling.
Right. You felt it.
Right. I just got to find ways to repackage this feeling.
Yeah.
And that was my mission since then. So from that came obviously Wasted Talent, Diplomatic Ties, and then ultimately El Capo, and then El Capo Deluxe.
So I've said this a million times, and everybody who knows me knows that I'm a big Dipset guy. When it was D Block, G Unit, or Dipset, I was Dipset to the death, bro. From the first Diplomats mix CD to, I believe they dropped 2 or 3 before Diplomatic Immunity dropped.
What, mixtapes?
Yeah, like of the Dipset volumes.
Yeah.
Right? I think it was 2 or 3.
I don't remember exactly because I wasn't even I was in tune with just working on the album around that time. I know they was because some of the records that I had did with them, maybe 1 or 2 had ended up on the mixtapes.
Right.
Yeah, because they had the Paid in Full mixtape, but that wasn't just Dipset.
I think that was...
that was Rockefeller. That was
Rockefeller. That was later. That was after. That was the Dame Dash Presents.
Yeah.
And that was dope, too. But...
the only mixtape I remember is with all of them on the front. They had Minx on. It was like a dollar bill background.
Yeah. That was, I think, 3 or 4.
That's the mixtape I remember. I know they had other ones, but that's the one I really remember that kind of set shit off.
Yeah, the first one was hosted by K Slay. Rest in peace, K Slay. Then the second one was Jim and Cam on the front. Cam had like a robe, like a silk robe.
And they were standing like side by
like
side,
almost
but like
dapping each other, I think.
Yeah.
And then the third one was...
That's the one I remember, I think.
I think Joel's alone in front of a dollar bill. And then the fourth one was the one you're talking about. That it was a dollar bill again, but it was all... Yo, I fucking love Dipset, bro. So when Cam came out with Come Home With Me, how many songs did you do on that one? 4?
Come Home with No, did 2.
Only 2?
Did Come Home With Me, the title track, and Boy Boy.
Okay, but then Diplomatic Immunity.
I did 11.
You did 11. So somewhere between Come Home With Me and Diplomatic Immunity, you kind of became the de facto Dipset in-house producer.
Yeah, but by default, because what happened was when we first submitted beats for Diplomatic Immunity, and again, I didn't even know he was working on Diplomatic Immunity. I submitted beats for Cam through a dude by the name of Renee McLean, and Cam hit back and said it was like, I want to say it was about, I don't know how many beats were on the CD, no more than 15, but Cam had picked 9 off of that CD. So when we went to the studio, I was like, shit, like, I wasn't even thinking like 9 for one album. I was just like, shit, Cam likes 9 beats, that's fire.
Right.
And I go to the studio, Joel's on 1, Jim and Joel's, Cam, all of them, Hell Rel, whoever it was. And then we did 2 more. We did More Than Music, and the last record I did for the album was Dipset Anthem.
Wow.
That was the last record. That actually, because you know, back then you had to get records pressed up. Like
right.
You had to send it off to get the masters off to get pressed. And they sent it off the last day. The last day they sent that off. That was so that made the album by like seconds. You know what I'm saying?
Dipset Anthem.
Right.
One of the craziest, classicest songs.
Which is crazy, man. So again, to answer your question, at that point, we just by default became the in-house producer because we was doing so much.
Right.
Joel's album, I did 12 records.
Yeah.
His first album. You know what I'm saying? So no producer was doing that shit around that time. Keep in mind, we in the same place as Just Blaze and Kanye.
Right.
So
to me, y'all was there.
That should tell you something.
Y'all was there.
If I say something else, I know the hate I get in the comments.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Listen, I'll take all the hate.
I'm
no,
not saying
that.
No,
Send
but
the hate to me.
They'll
they
say that
was
to me.
right there.
He think he better than I'm telling niggas facts.
Yeah.
They were around.
Yeah.
If the I mean,
and the
I'm gonna leave it at that, man. But I'm just
um,
saying they was around. We ended up with 11 on the first album. And shout to Just and Kanye. You know what I mean? There's no shots being thrown. I'm just saying what was happening. Just was doing everything else. So this is no slight to him. He was still doing Freeway shit, Jay-Z shit, Beanie, all this shit. Same with Kanye.
Yeah.
I'm just saying for Diplomats, we built a sound together that you had to make certain type of shit to get on that album.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to my man Charlemagne, not the radio personality Charlemagne, producer Charlemagne. He was on that album too. He did which one did Charlemagne do? Fuck, I want to say Just did Built This City. It was I can't remember the one Charlemagne did, but he had one record on that album that was
on Diplomatic Immunity.
Yeah. Oh, if you said the name, I'd remember. But I can't even tell you all the records I did, to be honest with you. It was I don't know them by, I forget. It was Who Am I? My Love, I'm Ready, Santana the Great, More Than Music, Dipset Anthem. Damn, that's all I can fucking remember. I know there's another fucking like 4.
Yeah, but remember that was a double disc. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I couldn't even tell you which all the ones I did, but I know I did 11.
But I definitely think if no one else has ever said it, and if no one else has ever said this, there's something wrong in the world. Definitely Dipset and Heatmakers' marriage created what is known as the Dipset sound.
Yeah, and I think
Cam
recently said it on the interview with the All the Smoke interview with him and Steven Jackson.
Oh, shout out to them brothers, bro.
Yeah,
shout
I
out
think
to Matt
he said
Barnes,
it on that because they asked him who's his favorite producer. He said Heatmakers, which was dope. Because we've never had that conversation like, yo, who's your favorite producer? It was just like we worked. So to hear him say that is kind of dope. You know what I'm saying?
I would have been surprised if he would have said anyone else. Honestly speaking, because
again, I don't view me the way people view me.
Right.
I'm still a dude that was in my mother's basement making beats. In my head, that's who I still am. You know what I mean? So I don't look at plaques and sales and me knowing this artist and that artist. So I just look at me as the kid that was trying to figure it out in my mother's basement.
Well, that's a level of humility as well.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of people let the accolades get to their to their head, I guess, and they get big headed and forget.
Yeah, but when you realize it's for the moment, I think it humbles you a lot. It's not like, I mean, I guess the plaques are, but it's not like winning a champion. It's not like winning a championship where you have the trophy and you say, you know what, regardless of what, they can't take this from you. The plaques are that, but I don't know. The championship is more, I don't know. I can't describe. I feel like with music, it's an ever evolving thing where you have to keep renewing your shit.
Right, you have to keep winning.
You have to keep winning. It's not like you can't rest your shit on your morals and say, you know what? I won a chip in fucking 2003 with a Diplomatic album. I'm good.
Yeah.
Because the kids now, they looking at you like, yo, who is this old nigga?
Yeah. Well, it depends on the artist too, right? Because somebody like Lauryn Hill, she put out one album and she kind of lived off it forever. But see, it's different
because she's an artist, so like she can go on the road and talk for that shit for however long she wants to.
Yeah.
As a producer, the producers that produced that album, what are they gonna do? They can't get on stage with her and bring the MPC and they're gonna be like, the fuck. So it's different for the artist and producer, but only certain artists get that type of love that Lauryn Hill got. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of artists have put out classic albums and they fell to the wayside.
Yeah.
So Lauryn Hill has that staying power because one, she is Lauryn Hill from a classic group, the Fugees, and two, she's one of the first ladies in hip hop to do what she did.
Yeah.
Prior to a Nicki Minaj or a Lil' Kim, she kind of put out an album that niggas could listen to.
Yeah.
You didn't feel weird listening to a Lauryn Hill album in a car with your homeboys.
Yeah.
Because
to this day.
Right, to this day.
Yeah.
And that's an art in itself to be able to do that as a female.
And she crossed over multiple ways, right? Because she crossed over into the fellas lane, but then she also crossed over into the pop lane, into the mainstream lane. So that one album, whatever
that one album embodies everything, man.
Yeah.
Dope R&B, dope rapping, just everything. It just felt like it was Drake before Drake.
Yeah. Have you ever sampled the Lauryn Hill song?
Yeah, recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's out?
No, I just did it.
Oh, okay.
I can actually play it.
To go back, how did you actually meet Cam?
Through Renee McLean, the guy I was telling you about. He was managing Cam at the time, and if you wanted to get artists, like if you had an artist and you wanted to get their records played by DJs, you kind of had to go through the dude Renee McLean at that time because he had he had the heavy hitters,
right?
DJ Enough and whoever else fell under the umbrella. So we went to see him one day, and we had these artists we were working with from North Carolina that we produced for, and we were trying to get their records played. We met up with Renee, and he was like, and we had to give him, I don't want to say it on camera, but we had to make sure he had what he needed.
He was motivated.
Right. He had to make sure he was motivated. So when he saw that, he's like, yo, where y'all little niggas get money from? Like, what do y'all do? And I was like, we produce. And he said, yo, I got Cam, if y'all got any beats. And I always walked with a beat CD. So I gave him the CD, and that's where the 11 records on Diplomatic Immunity started.
So it was instant connection when Cam heard.
He gave it because when Cam hit us, we were in North Carolina because we went back to work with those artists because he hit us maybe about 3-4 days later. So he hit us and we came back up, came straight to Baseline, and the rest is history.
Now, when you guys were in Baseline, to go back to what we were talking about with Justin Kanye, was there like a sense of the friendly competition?
No, because I felt like, and this is just me being honest, like, and again, just as my homeboy, so this ain't me trying to down what he did or not, but I felt like it was almost like, who the fuck are these niggas?
Them to you or you to them?
Well, not really Kanye, because Kanye wasn't around as much as Just was. Just was in-house in Baseline. Right. You know what I'm saying? I felt like Just looked at it like, yo, because I remember one day, and I don't know if he remembers this day, but Jewels was me, Jewels, and I don't remember who, but maybe Guru was there because he was recording, and Just walked in, and Jewels was like, yo, Just, let me get some beats for the album. He's like, you don't need me, you got Heatmakers, they gonna do everything, right? But it was said in a way that made me feel as if like, damn, what the fuck did I do? Like, did I infringe on some shit that I didn't, you know what I mean? And that's what it felt like at first, to answer your question. It felt like, yo, who are these niggas? And why are they here? I got this shit under control. Like, these niggas stepped in and they kind of stepping on my, you know what I mean, on my territory. So, but over time, we became cooler and cooler and all that shit kind of subsided. But that's what it felt like at first. It felt like, why are these dudes here? But
did that, like, motivate you?
Of course. I mean, anybody that knows me, 1,000,000%. And I forgive, but I never forget anything. Take that as you want it.
Now, when we talk about this time frame, you continue to say we. And for clarity, for the people that don't know, Heatmakers was a duo.
Right. It was me. Well, Heatmakers was a bunch of us, people I grew up with, but that made music was me and my man Thriller.
Okay.
But in 2007, Thriller kind of, because that's when music started to change, started to go into like trap music and things of that nature. So Thriller was used to fast money, and around that time we were making money fast. You know what I'm saying? And when that started to slow down, he started to get into real estate. He started to get into like he started wanted to open his own trucking business, and I'm the type, I got to see shit through to the end.
Right.
Like I don't want to feel like any form of the business like conquered me in a way. You know what I'm saying? So I just, for years, it was just like I was making music, but I wasn't really making music with the purpose of trying to put shit out. It was more like me trying to stay sane.
Right.
You know what I mean? Until it got to the point where it was like, and a lot of people I don't think really know this, but like 2012, I was like, no, 2011. I want to say about the end of 2011. I'm like, I don't think music is cut out for me anymore. Like the game changed so much. In my head, I'm like, I'm just gonna bow out of the game gracefully and just kind of chill and go into some other shit.
Right.
And then I get a call from a dude that I know, this engineer, and he's like, yo, I got this dude that's in town. He's a big Heatmaker fan. He wants some beats from me. He's an independent artist. And for some reason, when I got the call, I was mad. I'm like, this dude is gonna waste my fucking time. I'm gonna go down to the studio. I'm gonna play him some beats. He gonna tell me a bullshit story, not want to pay me, do all types of shit. I'm trying to talk myself out of it. I go down to the studio. I had a CD with like, no, it wasn't even a CD. It was a flash drive. I had a flash drive at this time with like maybe like 30 beats on there. Shit that I've been working on just in the crib by myself. And I was playing the beats for the dude, and he was like, yo, he said, I got a problem, man. In my head, I'm like, oh, here we go.
It comes, yeah.
He's like, yo, I like 10 beats, man. But he said, how much you charge? So I told him, and I remember I was so upset at the time. Nothing to do with him. I threw extra on it because I'm like, I kind of wanted him to say no. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, yo, I got a problem, man. I like 10 beats, but I only got enough money in my pocket right now for 5, right? He said, but I can give you the money for the other 5 in the morning when I go to the bank. So I'm like, this dude is full of shit. He goes in the back, comes back with like a small little bag like this, full with bread. Nigga gets me, say, I'll give you the rest in the morning. And I'm like, this is God's way of telling me like,
don't give up.
Like music ain't done with you yet.
Yeah.
Not even I'm not done with music. Music wasn't done with me yet. You understand? Like, and I knew that from that moment, like, all right, cool.
It's like music found you.
Right. It's time to get busy. So I opened up a studio. After that happened, I said, fuck it, I'm back in.
Did you end up fucking with that artist?
Yeah, we did 10 records together.
Can you name him?
I forgot his name. He's from North Carolina. He was an independent artist. Yeah, big shout out to him, man, because he only worked with me and Zaytoven.
Oh, okay.
We was his 2 favorite producers, he said. So after that, I opened up a studio on 52nd and Broadway in the city because I said, okay, cool, I'm back in. I opened up the studio trying to get my feet wet again, meet people all over again, build relationships again. And
now it's just you.
Yeah.
Okay.
But at that point, it was just me too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But here we are, man. With some belief.
Brought it back. All right. We're jumping around.
Yeah.
So
you know,
stick with us. I'm going to ask you a question that's been... I one time read, and I'm going to apply it to you, right? I was one time reading about Justice League, the production team Justice League.
Right.
And someone said they have to have a special folder for Rick Ross. They got beats that they play for everybody, but they got a special folder for Rick Ross. Then when El Capo dropped, I remember someone saying the same comment in regards to you.
But they had a special folder for Jim?
Yeah, so Heatmakers got beats, but they got a special folder for Jim.
I love that. I love that narrative.
Based in any reality?
Nah, not at all. What happens is, as a creator, you have days where the creation is better than others, right? But if you're around me every day, you're going to get some of the great shit because you were around me when I did it.
Right.
But if you come around me once a month, you're going to get what I have left.
Right.
Jim was around me every day. So the best of the best went to Jim. Same thing with Fred the Godson, God rest his soul. When he was around me every day, so he got the best of the best.
Rest in peace, yeah.
That's all it is. It's just...
So it's more so being consistently around you.
Of course, with anything. You know what I mean? It's like, think about it. If you're around somebody every day, you're going to see their best outfits and their worst outfits.
Right.
By default.
Right.
But if somebody comes around once in a blue, they like, oh, this nigga can't dress.
Yeah.
Nah, they seeing you in your worst dress day. It's the same shit.
That goes back to that balance, man. People don't know the importance.
It's the same shit. If you meet somebody one time and they're an asshole, that don't mean they're an asshole. Right. They was an asshole on that day.
On an off day.
You just never know. I mean, they might be an asshole, but I'm saying you might have caught them on the one day that they are an asshole, and you like, this dude is a dick. Yeah. Meanwhile, he or she is not like that. But you caught him on that one day.
Right, and your first impression was that.
So it goes the same thing with production. If you come see me one day and the shit that I play you is good, but it's not El Capo in your head, you just caught me on that one day. If you come around me for the whole week, you're going to hear fire at least 3 or 4 days out the week.
Right.
So, you know.
But do you ever make a creation and be like, all right, I'm going to hold this for this artist? Because I think they're going to be...
If I'm working on their project, yes.
Okay.
But if it's just like, I'll never make a crazy beat and be like, yo, I got to save this for this person. And we're not working. Never.
Okay.
It's almost, with me, it's almost first come, first serve. I don't really like holding music because to me, it's like if I speak to you today and we're talking about working on some music and I go in the studio and I make some crazy shit, in my head, God let me make that for you.
Right.
That energy created that record.
Right.
So what I look like taking that record and trying to find another artist to give it to.
Right. The energy might not even match.
I don't work like that.
Yeah. All right. So let's rewind a little. So you're at Howard University. Shout out again to Howard University and all the HBCUs out there. And you're doing the DJ thing. When do you decide that now you want to actually give production a try? Or how is the thought even introduced to you?
I get into like a brawl on campus and yeah, and I get kicked out of school. Well, I don't get kicked out, but I leave. Police were looking for me, so I left. Right. So I come home and keep in mind I got a baby on the way at the time.
Oh.
Parents don't know I'm kicked out of college. Got a baby on the way they don't know about. Right? And I have no money. Have no job, no nothing. Right. So my old partner Thriller at the time, he had bought an MPC. Just for, shits and giggles, bought an MPC and he was going to Trinidad and I asked him to let me hold it so I could, fuck around with it. So he lets me borrow it for like 4 or 5 days while he's in Trinidad. I make 2 bullshit beats. And
did you know how to fuck with it or you just learned right there?
I just learned and over the course of 5 days I figured out how to make 2 beats. They were trash though, right?
Right.
So and it's crazy how things work because right after that I meet a dude who introduces me to a house producer by the name of Todd Terry. Okay. Right? And Todd Terry's like, yo, I make house music. I don't know how to make hip hop. I need hip hop beats for my artists that I got. Do you have any beats? And I'm like, yeah, I got these 2 beats. Trash.
Yeah.
I give him the beats, and he takes the CD, listens to it, he likes it. He's like, yo, how much you want for each track? I'm like, I don't know. Give me $1,000 a beat. I'm just making numbers up. Yeah. I don't even know how much shit's go for. I said, give me like $1,000 a beat. He's like, all right, cool. He goes in his back room to safe, comes back with 20 crispy $100 bills. And he's like, all right, I need some more music. What's up? I said, yo, I don't got equipment, man. I bought equipment from my homeboy. He said, where you live at? Tell him where I live. He sends me like $30,000 worth of equipment to my crib.
No shit.
Yeah.
What a blessing.
So then I hit him. I'm like, yo, what do you want for this shit? He's like, yo, whenever you make it to be a big producer, you just owe me two free records. But me and him have been cool ever since. You know what I'm saying? But then his son started rapping and I ended up doing records for his son.
Ah.
You know what I mean? Which is dope.
Karmic retribution.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the way life works is like that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah. But it was.
Yeah, but who does that is what I'm saying. Yes, it was supposed to happen, but the way people think is like, why would that happen?
Exactly.
He didn't know me from a can of paint.
But it be that little belief from someone that leads us to this. You feel me?
Right.
Like that little, he saw something. Whatever it was.
He saw shit that I didn't see. How about that?
Exactly.
That's the crazy part, man.
So let's get to your first credit. And I wasn't aware you had produced this song until I started doing my research and I went through all your productions. Right. And it's a cannabis song, and I'm a big cannabis fan. Like, I know he went through his shit and whatever, he didn't maybe live up to the expectations and whatever the case may be. I don't care about none of that. If I'm a fan of you, I'm a fan of you.
Fucked him up.
I just said that recently.
Yeah, bad first album fucked him up.
I recently just said that, so thank you for co-signing it. But you produced a song called The Sequel. And it starts with like...
You want me to explain to you what that is?
Please, because there's multiple verses going on at once.
So what it's supposed to be is... Because in the studio, everything is going left to right.
Right.
So if you don't have a left to right system set up, it sounds like madness.
Yes.
But in the studio at the time, I'm a young producer. I didn't make that suggestion. Whoever made the suggestion thought it was the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
But knowing what I know now, they've been like, why would you do that?
Right.
Because if you're listening to it on a setup where it's not stereo left and right, it sounds like shit. It sounds like, if it's a mono setup, it sounds crazy. So it's supposed to be one song is coming in from this speaker, and then another song is coming in from this speaker, and then back and forth.
Yeah.
But when you hear it now, it just sounds like everything on top. It just it sounds wild.
It sounds bugged. But it sounds wild, and it sounds bugged out.
I'll battle you on the phone. I'll battle you on the net. I'll battle you on
bad, especially when you think about cannabis.
Yes,
because cannabis always made your brain.
That's what they wanted it to sound like his thoughts.
Yeah,
but it gets confused, like super confusing if you don't know what's going on.
Right. But then it switches into a normal verse.
When the song drops in.
Yeah. Shout out to Cannabis though. Like, I like that he was never afraid to try.
So that was the first placement I ever got, right? And my manager at the time told me I got paid $25. No, he told me I got paid $3,000, right? Mm-hmm. I found out years later I got paid $8,000. So he was out of here after. I mean, that was the beginning of the end for him anyway. Because he was gone before then.
Right.
Because I realized he was doing some fuckery, but just to show you how crazy the game is.
But that doesn't surprise me, man. I often hear these tales of people just taking advantage of people, especially younger guys, newer artists, and kind of just stealing, bro, like, for lack of a better term.
But I feel like you have to go through that, man. I feel like without that, not saying getting robbed, but in a sense, yes, because going through that opens up your third eye.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at things from a different perspective, like, you know what? Let me not trust this dude too much. I just kind of met him. Even though he's putting some money in my pocket, what is he getting?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Not saying to watch anybody else's pockets, but when it involves your pocket, sometimes you have to.
You have to, and you should.
You know what I mean?
And it also, a situation like that also forces you to learn.
Of course, and that's the best part about it, because through that, I started sitting in on meetings with my lawyer and figuring out how paperwork went, what the publishing meant, what this meant, what this split was, and you know what I mean? What does this mean for me 3 years from now, or whatever the case is? I started to learn that side of it, because I hated just sending paperwork to my lawyer and having him tell me this is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're going to get X amount, and boom. So for the producers out there who are just coming up or just learning or maybe just don't have the understanding, you can sell a beat and give up all your rights and get X amount of money, or you can sell a beat and maintain 50% of the song, 50% of the publishing, depending on if you help with the writing,
samples and stuff.
You might get some writing credits,
like,
and eat forever off it.
Sometimes it's not a bad, like, look, like, I'm in the process of trying to work out a deal with Peloton, right?
That's bike, right?
Yeah, because you know they have playlists and shit like that on the Peloton, but there's no publishing involved because they want to own the music, because that's how that makes sense to them.
Right.
Because they already pay millions a year to license music for their, for the bike. So my pitch to them is, why not own a catalog of music for yourself?
Right. Music specifically created for
so you can bring in a producer and say, you know what? We need you to at least give us 100 songs this year for our playlist. This is our budget.
Yeah.
You control the budget. You get the artists you want, but we need 100 completed songs
within this time span.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm in the process of trying to work out a deal like that with them.
Well, shout out to that, man. Shout out to Peloton. Shout out to companies who are now willing to invest in the artist as opposed to just
which makes the most sense, because never have I really seen advertisement for a product that wasn't music based.
Right.
So when you know music plays that big of a part in what you're selling or what you're doing, why not have a department for that?
Especially a fitness company where...
But their whole business model is based on music.
Right.
That's what you ride the bike to, is music.
I mean, who works out to, like, silence?
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So with that being said, why say to yourself, okay, cool, we plan to be in business for the next 30 to 40 years, but we're going to have to pay millions of dollars to license music every year for the next 40 years. Why not get our own catalog? Yeah. And that's my pitch to them. You know what I'm saying? That makes the most sense. And when it's all said and done, you can say, you know what? We own 600 songs. I want to sell the masters to all of this because we own 100%. and then cash out again.
Exactly.
It's a win-win.
Or maintain the ownership and
But for
collect
what?
money for if
Cash
it's streaming.
out.
God forbid.
Or
what if they
license
get
it
a
out
hit?
or license it out to other people.
Exactly.
But to me, you don't put it on DSPs. Just put it on a Peloton playlist.
Exclusive, yeah.
You can put that on DSPs, but it will just be a Peloton playlist.
Right.
So that you have to go there to hear it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? To me, that makes the most sense for them, for a company like them.
And someone like me who's a fan of you, if
Right.
I find out, Rsonist is making a Peloton exclusive playlist.
Right. Now you got records.
How do
with
I
Jim.
listen to
You got
it?
a Dipset record that's just on Peloton.
Right. So I
that
gotta
they own.
now go through Peloton to get it. So
You might fuck around and buy a bike. Who
I
knows?
might
People
fuck around
might
and get a shape.
Why
Shout
not,
out
man?
to that, man. Shout out to Cannabis though. After that, you did work on a Ghostface song.
Yeah, that
called
record
Ice, I
actually
believe.
got because if you notice, that record is the same beat as "Come Home with Me."
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, so what happened was Ghostface and big shout out to Ghostface, but at that time they never contacted me. They just took the beat straight off the CD and he rapped on it. Because if you notice on the Ghostface album, the song is only like 56 seconds.
Okay.
The beat was only like 56 seconds.
Like a sample of the beat.
Right, on the CD. So they took it off the CD and he rapped to it and they put it out. So I had to, and it wasn't really Ghostface, but I had to end up suing Sony
Right.
at that time. So they paid me, and then, but around that time, Cam had bought the beat to Come Home With Me. So the beat was sold already.
Right.
So Sony ended up paying me for the Ghostface album for that beat, and then I told Cam, like, yo, he already rapped on the beat. He's like, I don't give a fuck, and then he used it anyway.
Shout out to Cam for doing that, man. Who else did that?
ASAP Rocky and I want to say, was it Travis Scott had the same beat? Not recently, but years ago.
And also Pimp C when he took the Project Pat beat for International Players.
Oh
Anthem.
yeah.
Rest in
Yeah.
peace, Pimp C. Shout out to that. So then after that, if my notes are correct, after the Ghostface, that's when you linked with Cam for the first time.
Yes.
And then we started the whole Dipset run.
Yeah.
Were you like, as the de facto in-house producer for Dipset, how busy were you during that run, bro? Like, how much time were you spending in the studio?
I spent all day in the studio anyway. It didn't matter.
Still to this day?
Yeah. I mean, well, now I take more days off just because I learn to appreciate life more now.
Right.
But there was times I was in the studio 67 days a week, 18 hours a day.
And working on multiple projects
just
at
working.
a time, or just
Working. Like, honestly, now I might be working on more projects now than I was then. But because I know how to manage my time better, I can, spend more time with my family and things like that.
And how do you mentally separate the projects? Like, let's say you're working on 3 projects.
It's weird, man, because, I mean, nobody ever asked me that question, but it's weird because it's almost like when I'm around the artists I'm working with, by default, I just automatically snap into that zone. It's not like I have to do any particular thing. It's just like that artist energy forces me to snap back into that zone. Like if I'm working with Joel Ortiz, I know the zone that he's in, and it's like I automatically snap into that zone. So and if later that night I go work with Jim, I'm automatically snapping in that zone.
So you're kind of a chameleon in a sense.
Yes, but it's more so, okay, it's like, how do you know what conversation to have with certain people? Their demeanor or energy just dictates that.
Right.
It's the same thing with music. Like when Jim steps in the room, musically, I'm not in the same space as a Joel Ortiz session.
Right.
Because Jim's whole energy is different from Joel and vice versa. So it's like, with that being said, I can't give them the same music.
Right.
I don't even think like that when I see both of them. 2 completely different personalities.
Right.
Jim smokes weed all day. Joel don't smoke. Joel writes his verse. Jim don't. Jim will sit on the couch and fall asleep and wake up with a verse. Joel will pace back and forth while he's writing a verse in his phone. It's just 2 different people. But all artists that I work with, they're kind of like that.
Right.
Where it's like, once I'm in the studio with this person, their vibe automatically sets the mood.
And are you able to pick up on the mood of an artist for that day? For example, Jim. I don't know Jim. I met Jim once in passing.
Right.
But in viewing him on TV and in stuff, he seems to be temperamental. So let's just say he's having a bad day. Right. And he comes to the studio and his energy is more of a angry type vibe. Can you pick up on that and maybe give him like, oh, maybe he needs this
Sometimes
harder?
there's times he'll say something like I want, like, I remember one day he came in the studio and he's like, I need a beat, but I need it to be like Phil Collinsy. But automatically, I knew exactly what he meant.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I got the footage on my Instagram, and I started putting it was that's the night I did Never Did the Three Quarters from Wasted Talent. I think it's the first track on Wasted Talent, and that's the night I made that. But I knew exactly what he meant.
Right.
He meant like that airy.
That was the first word I thought of,
you know what I'm saying? But me and him communicating that way. Other producers might be like, what the fuck is he talking about? Phil Collinsy. But
y'all have that.
Right, Jim speaks like that. So I understand him. He'll say some shit that sounds weird to somebody else, but I get it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's with all Dipset members. Even though they all work differently, I understand all of them individually.
Right.
So it works in my favor in that sense.
Was there any conversation before you guys started working on El Capo? Because to me, El Capo has a theme and a sound to it that's different from Wasted Talent or any other Jim project that had come out previously. It has like I told you this before we went on air, like a rich Miami palm trees and bricks type vibe to it. And it kind of, it goes through the album, even on the song New York City, like it maintains within that vibe.
Was not intentional, man. What I think it was I think Jim was at a place in his career where he was ready to almost be viewed differently. And the same thing with me. I wanted my music to be viewed outside of just like sped up soul samples and this is all he could do. And I think lyrically Jim was at the same point.
Right.
Even though we never spoke about it, I just feel like that's what it was, and the mesh just worked because of that. He was ready for people to look at him differently, and the same thing with me. Yeah. And I think that album accomplished that. You know, that the Miami sound was definitely not intentional. Like if it happened like that, that's beautiful, but we just made music, and I think that's what came out. The only thing Jim said to me before we started working was, he was like, yo, I don't want no old shit on this album. He said, y'all niggas wear Old Spice. Don't even wear that shit to the studio, nigga.
Damn.
But I got him. I knew what he was talking about.
Like
he meant
let
the old vibes go. This is all new vibes we're gonna bring on this shit. You know what I'm saying?
It sounds bigger.
Yeah, it feels like that.
It sounds like more like orchestral almost.
Yeah, and again, none of that was done purposely. It was just like we just made music and all the pieces to the puzzle just fit together perfectly.
Let me ask you a very specific question. There's a song on the album that he doesn't finish his verse.
Hold on, let me take this.
And he almost like mumbles it. He's like, you
know how many times I tried to get him to change it till finally I said, you know what? Fuck it, that's Jim.
But it fits.
Yeah, because that's
the craziest shit. That it fits.
It was the joint with him, Benny, Conway, and Cam.
Yeah. And he does the first verse, but he don't finish it.
He just says like,
like if he had put words in, it would have fit because it's on beat.
But guess what? It's very few artists that can get away with that, and it's just accepted. Like, oh, that shit sound kind of fire. Yeah.
But you know what? When I first heard it, I go back to reading that Jim says he don't write lyrics.
Yeah, he don't write shit.
He just kind of freestyles.
Let me tell you something. I remember the years that I told you I wasn't around Jim, right? So finally I get around Jim, and he had a studio like Lower Manhattan. So I go to his studio to go play him some music. And keep in mind, again, at this point I wasn't around Jim for like 5 years. So I play him some music, and he's sitting on a couch, and while I'm playing the music, he's like closing his eyes, he's dozing off, and I'm with my man, I'm like, this nigga had me waste my time and come down. He's gonna fall asleep while I'm playing him shit, man.
It's kind of fucked up.
I said, fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah.
So I remember I tapped him. I said, yo, Jim, man, about to get out of here. He said, what you doing, nigga? I'm writing. I said, yo, the fuck you mean you writing, nigga? I'm watching you sleep. He's like, I forgot who was in the studio with him, but whoever it was, he was like, yo, tell him how I write. And up to this point, I never seen him write like this. Because, you know, before, I never seen him do that. So his man was like, nah, it's how the nigga write. He gonna come with some shit. And I'm like, fuck out of here. I'm sitting around for like another 20 minutes. He gets up and he's like, yo, he said to the engineer, you ready? I'm like, get the fuck out of here. This nigga goes in the booth and spits a whole verse. I said, okay, I get it now.
Yo, that's kind of...
Now I get it.
That's genius, bro. It takes a certain level of creator to be able to do
Yes.
that, right? Because every rapper can't do that
At all.
I know all of them have tried at some
But
point.
to me, that's why when you hear Jim's delivery, it sounds so free because he's not he's not pulling from nothing but just his brain. You know what I'm saying?
And
So-
it allows him to be interwoven with the beat.
Yes, yeah. And that's just him. It works for him. But ever since then, we was off to the races.
Shout out
And
to
then,
that,
you know,
brother.
Jim would, then after that, it was Jim would be around Fred all the time. And, you know, when it come to lyrics, Fred would say shit that was like, Fred said on a feature with Jim, he said, we at your room like June, it's just Jim and I.
Ah.
Like you know, Fred is a
Yeah,
super clever guy,
on the
man.
Capo, he has the line about the fiend, something about the toothache. I don't remember it right now, but he said something about the fiend toothache, and somebody he robbed the perk or something. He took the perk off the table or the pill off the table. Nah, he rips it, bro.
Nah, he went crazy.
And on the deluxe, the song that y'all put on the deluxe of Jim and Fred.
Yeah,
that beat is crazy, bro. That beat right there is fire.
It's hard for me to listen to that record. I haven't listened to that record since it came out, but because we did the record and then Fred never got a chance to see the record come out because he passed between the time we did the record and between, because he was so hype off El Capo. Like, he got so much love when El Capo came out because he was one of the very few features. You know, it was like, well, when I say very few features, like
on the original,
right? He wasn't the biggest name. Like, Cam was on there, Benny, Conway, Fat Joe, Rick Ross, Mano.
Yeah.
And then, you know, my man Drama did the hook for the other joint, but yeah, man, it was like, that record is hard for me to listen to because I didn't really get a chance to share the experience of listening to the record with Fred. And I know he would have, you know, because anytime an album that he was on came out, he was just always hype.
Yeah, and then the deluxe featured him 2 more times.
Yeah, and I'm talking about on the deluxe. He got a chance to see the original come out, but the deluxe he never got a chance to see come out.
So you did everything on the deluxe as well?
Yeah.
So you flipped the Bad Boy.
Yeah, he asked me to do that. That wasn't by choice.
Jim or Fred?
Jim.
Oh.
Jim asked me to do that. He came.
That must have been easy for you though.
Yeah, that was simple.
Yeah,
that's why I don't even like
one.
taking credit for shit like that.
Yeah.
That was like a request.
No, but that shit was still fire though.
Yeah, it came out
and
tough.
And the video was fire too.
It came out tough.
Rest in peace, Fred. Just in case we haven't said it, it never hurts to say it again, man.
For
Rest
sure.
in peace to the brother Fred. Prayers and love to him and his family, his friends, of course. You also had another project with Fred and Joel Ortiz that was called Gorilla Glue. Yes, that came out in
2019. I think it was January 2019.
Yep.
January, February.
How was the sessions for that? And why? I don't know if these guys are friends. Why were they close friends?
Joel and Fred?
Yeah, that they decided to put out
actually introduced them, and it was
a joint project.
I was trying to get them to do a joint project for 2 years prior.
Just as a fan?
As a producer and as a fan. Like, Fred was my nigga, and then I met Joel because I did work on his project House Slippers. I did about 6 or 7 records, maybe more. But I'd met him around that time and we built a friendship. And me and Fred has always been cool, so I'm like, I got 2 of the dopest rappers within my reach. Like, why not do a project together? And for a while, it took some convincing with Joel because I think because he was fresh off of Slaughterhouse and he was doing a bunch of shit, I don't think he was with the group type of thing. Yeah. But then after we did a record called King Kong vs. Godzilla.
Okay.
That was online, and the people went so crazy over that. I said, yo, come on, man. Then we redid the Pharaoh Monch joint. Dun 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 dun. Get the fuck up. We had a video for, I forgot the name of it, what we named it. But once we shot that video and we saw the response, it was like, it only makes sense. But people love Gorilla Glue. Honestly, I got Gorilla Glue Part 2 finished in the computer.
Again, Fred and Joel?
Yeah.
Do you think you'll put it out ever?
I don't know. Because Fred has a documentary coming out called The Ghost of God that we was actually shooting for like 2 years. And he had a project, Contraband 3, that was done. That we're going to make that the soundtrack to Ghost of God. So I don't know when the time would come up to be able to put out Gorilla Glue unless it's just on some like backdoor shit. But I don't want to cheapen the project like that either. You know what I'm saying? So
especially that it's a joint. Like if it was a Fred solo, you might could put it out
and
before the project.
And it's weird to me because how do I promote that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want it to be a depressing tour like press run where it's like, you know, reliving the Fred thing. I want it to be like I want it to be celebrated.
Right.
But the only way I think that can happen is if the documentary comes out first and then his project. So then it's kind of like, all right, cool. We're over the mourning stage of, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, that's done.
Because I definitely think the fans of Fred, because we feel shortchanged. Like, you know, he passed so early.
As they should feel shortchanged, because right now Fred would have been really like reaping the fruits of his labor, because now rap is starting to be looked at as rap again.
Right.
You know what I mean? For a while it was like, oh, this nigga rapping too much. He's saying a bunch of... Now they want to hear you. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny how hip-hop does that. It goes very pop and
secular,
very...
man.
Yeah, the cycle always like, comes back, bro.
Yeah, always. You look at the 80s, man. Like the 80s, they were wearing these type of jeans. Fitted, whatever. You know what I mean? You get to the... Now shit is becoming baggy again. Like, I don't know if you look at fashion, but shit is the flared pants, the bell bottoms from the 70s. Now we're going to go into the 80s and the 90s. And
I heard a theory once.
It's a cycle, man.
And it has to do with parents, right? So they say every generation doesn't want to look like their parents.
So they want to be the opposite.
So they opposite it up. That's why we keep going through the same cycles. Because if your parents wasn't tight, we going baggy. Yeah. Then when they become the parents and they baggy, the kids bring back the tight. So it's over and over, man. But shout out to that, man. Speaking of being a rapper, and again, rest in peace to Fred, because he definitely would have been. He was on the upswing, and he would have been reaching a pinnacle now. You in the year 2007, you threw your hat in the ring.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even say in the ring, man. That shit was more to keep my sanity again, man. It's like I had no real plans of putting things out.
Right.
I set up a little studio in my basement of my crib at the time, and I just made music and sent it to friends that I liked.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And most of them would be like, yo, you should put this out, do this, do that. But for me, you know what I mean? I put out a project called Sunday. And to this day, certain people hit me like, yo, that project was ahead of its time, even production-wise. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. You know what I mean? I don't really... Because to me, I know what I was trying to accomplish at that time. I was just trying to keep my sanity and kind of rap over the beats that I liked from myself.
Right.
Because artists wasn't really fucking with me at that time. So in my head, it was like, I just gotta... Somebody got to rap on it.
Right.
Then I would rap over other producers that I like their music. Like big shouts to Family Biz. At the time was a production team out of Chicago. I still keep in contact with them to this day. But I was just doing things that I wanted to do. It wasn't even about getting a bag or none of that. It was more so therapeutic than anything else.
That was going to be my question. Were you using the music as a form of therapy?
1,000,000%, because I wasn't making money for a fact off of that shit. So it was definitely more therapeutic.
Do you make, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Do you make some more money off it now than you did then with it
music?
Streaming? No. I mean that project in particular, right? Because the
I don't
the
even
2007 project.
Oh, you mean the Rush?
The Rush, yeah.
Nah, the Rush was more of like a novelty project, man. Like if it made a couple dollars, it made a couple dollars. But if anything, we broke even.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because at that time I didn't have a studio, so I was booking out studio time in Quad. I was just paying for certain shit that I wouldn't be paying for now. So probably just broke even off that project. You know what I mean?
Financially, but spiritually, it was a good project for you.
It was well needed at that time for me. You know what I mean? Like, not necessarily on a monetary basis, but it was just needed for me, just
like on a spiritual cleanse
therapeutic.
basis.
You know what I mean? Like I just needed it just to feel like I was still in the game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense.
Because at that time the Dipset run was on
over.
It
was over. Jim and Cam.
I never want to say over, right?
Because
I'm a Dipset fan.
When I say over, I don't mean like over like for the time being. It was over in my head at that time. You know, Cam and Jim was having their differences, and Joel's to me was kind of indifferent. He was just kind of, he was still cool with Cam, still cool with Jim. Same thing with me.
Right.
So it was kind of like a weird space to be in. Like, all right, I don't really see Dipset forming again, but what happens here? Like, it was.
Did you
weird.
ever feel like, pardon the comparison, but did you ever feel like a child in the middle of a divorce? Did you ever feel like maybe I'm gonna have to pick a side?
Not really, because before that, I wasn't in contact with them for like a year and a half or 2 years before they kind of Because remember, Jim had got a job as an A&R over at was that Warner Brothers?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. So Jim was doing that. Cam was kind of doing his own thing. Jewels, I think at that time, was trying to get from under contract at Cam. Like, it was just a bunch of weird shit going on. And I was confused. I'm like, everybody has me synonymous with Dipset. So for me trying to sell music, a lot of artists was like, yeah, I ain't really on that Dipset shit right now. And I'm like, shit is a beat. Like, what are you talking about that Dipset shit? Like, do you like the beat or you don't?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I kind of got pulled into the whole, oh, he makes Dipset beats. Right. So for years I had to try to fight that stigma off me, like, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, it wasn't until like recently, till like El Capo, where people started to be like, oh shit, he can make other shit.
Right.
So,
but someone who did take advantage of the Dipset sound, let's call it, was Lil Wayne, one of the biggest artists.
And that's
rappers.
around that time when I ended up getting tracks on the Lil Wayne album. Big shout out to my man British.
On my favorite Lil Wayne album.
Carter 2? Yeah. So big shout out to my man British, because he put that together. I had given him a CD to give to Wayne in March of 05. Yeah. And they hit me back in October of 05, said they wanted those 2 records. So needless to say, it was last minute, but that worked out. But thanks to British, it worked out. But I think because Wayne was on the Dipset type of vibe around that time, it made perfect sense for him. You know?
I'll always be under the belief that Dipset broke Wayne in New York.
Yes, I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't, because when Wayne was kind of cooling down a little bit, he was around Jewels all the time. He was around. He had the record with Cam. The was it Kiss It or Not? Mm-hmm. He had that record with Cam, and he was just moving around New York. Like he had videos off the Carter 2 that he shot in New York.
Right.
So I think Dipset played a big role in that, in keeping him relevant at the time in New York.
Exactly. And then was when he went on that historic run. Did you think
he featured on everything
at the time that Lil Wayne would be what Lil Wayne is?
I never gave it much. I don't really think about the future of any artist. You know what I mean? Some artists, you know, are more special than others when you work with them. But I've worked with special artists that they're nowhere around anymore. And I've worked with artists who I thought would be gone tomorrow and they're still here. So you can't call it. It's just like, I know in my heart who's a special artist when I work with them, but that doesn't dictate whether or not they're gonna be here for the next 10, 15 years. It's like, it's a weird game that we're caught in. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, sometimes you have to throw everything you believed out the window just because you're almost jading yourself. You know what I'm saying? Right. Where you're like, nah, he has to win. Based off my knowledge, he has to win. And then when he doesn't win or she doesn't win, you kind of question yourself like, what the fuck? I haven't heard nothing better than this in the last 10 years. How didn't that work? So,
you have to factor in that there's so many reasons why it might not work, right? They might pick the wrong single, or it might just be bad timing.
But this is what I'm saying. But then
then
you ask yourself as a creator, like, what the fuck am I doing? If I can't figure out this puzzle in the least, what am I doing?
Right.
Because any other job that you spend 20 years in, you have it figured out to some degree. Mm-hmm. This is the one job where it's like, I could bet the house on this artist based off the knowledge that I have from my history. Yeah. And he or she could still lose.
Yeah. Off some bullshit.
This is what I'm saying to you. It's like, there's no real way to say, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. Like,
there's no way.
A perfect example other than Wayne, I believe, would be Jim. Jim started off, you know, and I'm sure you know way better than me, he wasn't a rapper.
Right.
He was the
Jim
engineer,
saw
the video
what's going
guy.
on and was like, I'm not missing out on this bag. I think that's how he looked at it at first. Like, fuck it, they don't want to give me a deal. I'm going to go to Koch.
Yeah.
I'm going to start my own buzz.
Yeah.
And now you look at Jim as like, Jim is a bona fide artist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That has made, in my opinion, people can argue if they want, has made a classic project.
Yes.
So
I will agree. And if y'all agree, let us know in the comments. El Capo.
And if
y'all don't agree,
and if you disagree,
please let me know in the comments, because y'all be my favorite ones.
Yeah. And again, I'm not against anybody disagreeing, because everybody has the right to their own opinion. but have a legitimate reason.
Right.
Not just because y'all don't fuck with Jim.
Yeah.
But did you listen to the album?
Yeah.
Because a lot of niggas will say that off top, like,
And
nah, I don't really fuck with Jim. But did you hear the album?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't do that. I'll never say that about an artist. Like, I don't fuck with this artist. If I say that, I've listened to their shit extensively.
Right.
To really know that I don't like it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't just make judgments like, nah, I don't fuck with him or I don't fuck with her. If I say that, I've listened to your music extensively.
Enough to form a proper opinion. But I believe we are from a generation that appreciated music, and not only appreciated it, but in a way studied it, right? Because we would have to go find the album. We come from a place of reading credits and finding.
Yeah, that was the highlight of getting a CD is unpacking the CD, folding the shit out, seeing who produced what.
Looking forward to it. Oh shit, number 9 Heatmakers. Damn, I can't wait till we get to number 9.
Right. Exactly. That shit was like, it was a highlight of your day to read through the credits and figure out who did what and who. Or matter of fact, you're listening to the album and you're like, y'all, look, who did this beat? You grab the CD for, oh shit, you know what I mean? So those days are kind of gone. So I feel like as producers, man, we gotta do something to bring excitement back to us. Right. That's why I make beats on my page, or I'll have a video of me putting a beat together or working with an artist or whatever the case is, because you have to bring excitement back to the producer side of this shit.
Right.
Because it's kind of like a lot of young artists, they think like an artist just goes in the studio, pulls up YouTube, grabs a beat, makes a song, and that's how it works.
Yeah.
They don't even inquire about like, how was the beat made?
Right.
Who made the beat? What did they use? Where did they get that sound from? Like, me as a producer, I want to know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, when I hear certain shit, I'm like, y'all like that snare? Wonder where the fuck he got that snare from?
How do you make that
snare? Like, other people won't even think like that.
Yeah.
I'll be listening to the whole song, and I'm just hearing the snare, like, I need that. What snare is that? And I'll even, you know what I mean? I'll try to find where that person got that snare from. Right. Like, I'm like that, because I guess I've been in the game so long that it's like, those are the things that excite me.
But that's something that I think producers have that a normal human don't have, right? Like,
you hearing those type of things.
Yeah,
right?
and you'll sit there for an hour just looking for the right snare.
Right.
And you're like, oh.
That's why
shit.
I realized how important it was to just build a library of sounds.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you look at all these hard drives are just filled with different drum sounds and loops and you know what I mean? Yeah. Whatever it is, because I want to be able to match my mood every day when I walk in here.
Right.
Like, find some shit like, nah, this is the right drum pattern, this is the right kick, snare, this is the right piano, this is whatever it is, I want it to match my mood that day.
Right.
And that's why I keep like a huge catalog of sounds.
You know and now we're getting to the point that producers can actually monetize that. Right?
Yeah, I actually have a drum pack coming out with Akai in March called a Crack Pack.
Look at that.
Yeah, so
shout out to that. Shout out to Akai. Let's talk your relationship with Akai. Actually, you said you borrowed your first MPC, and now you're partnering with them.
Yeah.
To produce your sound.
Crazy how crazy that sounds.
Yeah, that's bugged out. You see how the universe works?
It's just crazy, man.
And you're gonna put out your own special edition MPC.
Yeah, that's the end goal. I still have another drum pack to do. Once I finish that, then we get into those conversations.
So we're not there yet.
No, I mean, we're there, but we're not in the designing stage yet. We're just like, I got to finish these two drum. I did one drum pack, I got to finish another one, and then we can have the conversation about,
about actually putting it out. Will it be a limited release?
Yes. Okay. So maybe like 500 pieces. Wow. You know what I mean? Like something just to, collect this.
That. So all the fans, be on the lookout. Also, get your drum kit, your drum pack.
Yeah,
where would they go if they wanted to purchase the drum pack?
Well, it should be out in March, and I'm assuming, Akai.com, but it's going to be called a Crack Pack. So all the people that said they wanted Heatmaker drums or Heatmaker sounding drums, this is your chance. You just,
However, let me forewarn y'all. Y'all could buy the pack and have the drums and the sounds. That don't guarantee you're going to come out with the Heatmaker fire magic.
But listen, to sell the pack, it will.
Yeah, but definitely.
If you get it, it will. Oh. You too can make Heatmaker beats.
Just pick up the pack. Get
the Crack Pack for you and your friend.
Shout out to that, man. Let me see what else I have for you. Go back to the Rush for a second. Do you think you'll ever drop another album
like that with me on there? No.
Two-part question.
No.
With you on it or with just various compilation of artists that you fuck with?
Well, by default, I'm going to have to because I have a deal with VP, right? You know, the reggae label VP.
The original VP?
Yeah, original VP.
Oh, shout out to
I
that.
signed a deal with them, and my deal is I take the records they own, like the reggae records they own, and I flip them into hip-hop records and put hip-hop artists back on them with reggae artists.
Okay.
So it's probably be like a 10 to 12 song project, you know what I'm saying, where I'll take records they own from, whether it's Beanie Man or I'm just making up art, Garnet, so whoever they own, because they pretty much own most of the reggae artist catalog.
Right.
I'll take that music, flip it into hip-hop, and make a whole new song out of it with a hip-hop artist and a reggae artist.
And then drop it on VP?
And then it's going to be an album, a compilation VP, Heatmakers VP album.
Shout out to that, man.
But again, there's some obstacles in the road right now with that, and I'll explain that to you, at another time. Yeah. But don't get your hopes up about that just yet. The deal is done.
But be on the lookout.
Don't get me. No, sounds great. The deal is done. The checks have been cleared. The deal is done. But it's like, again, there's bumps in the road, but we'll figure it out.
Do you think you'll ever do one outside of that deal? One that maybe
Probably
doesn't
not,
have to be?
Because trying to chase down artists is like, you do interviews, right?
Oh, yeah.
Imagine somebody told you had to coordinate an interview with me, Just Blaze, Kanye West, Justice League. You have to get us all in the same place at the same time, and it's your job to get that done.
Yeah.
So now you got to deal with all our personalities. Yo, I can't make it on Sunday. Yo, Sunday's my best day.
Yeah.
Yo, you understand?
Yeah.
That's what a compilation album is. Yo, but I'm working on I just need that verse back by Tuesday. But I'm working on my album. I ain't really in feature mode. I'm in album. What? Like, you go through all these different things, and I don't want to deal with that no more. You know what I mean? So when I'm working with a particular artist, I have their full attention, and we can really work.
Right.
When it's multiple artists and multiple personalities, and yo, I like this beat, but let me rap on this one instead. But that wasn't the plan. The plan was for you to.
But I think the process.
Right now it becomes like, what are we doing, man? It's been 4 months and I got 2 records done.
Right.
I don't want to deal with that no more. You know what I'm saying? So
to
answer the question,
do you
no.
like working with an artist on a full project?
That's the only way I'll work now.
So you won't do random songs for an album?
Depending on the artist, yes, but I don't want to do that no more.
For the most part,
I don't want, because then it's like somebody saying to you, get your point across with one sentence.
Right.
Maybe you can, but more than likely you can't.
Depending on the point, right?
Right. You know what I'm saying? And then you wouldn't even be able to explain the context in which you meant it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you need the platform to get your whole point across. And that's what an album is for me.
Right.
I can get my whole point out. When I do one record for you here, one record for you there, it's kind of like, I guess Heatmakers, they cool. When you can hear what I can do for 13 or 14 records, or even 10 records, if it's like a smaller project, then you're like, okay, I get it. It's like me and Nino, we did Hotter Than Hell recently. To me, it's a great project for Nino because it lets him have a sound that people can say, okay, cool, this is Nino. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And again, for everybody else, Joel Ortiz that I just did a project with, me and Locksmith talking about doing a project. And other artists, you know what I mean? I don't want to speak about the other artists until something happens. Right. You know what I mean?
Shout out to the brother Nino Gully. He actually helped in introducing us and making this interview happen. So shout out to him.
Good dude, man.
But Nino, get the album on Apple Music, bro. Yeah. I can't listen to it on Spotify because they won't let me play in order. And I hate listening to an album not in order.
Yeah, you got to hear it in order.
The sequencing is one of the most important things.
And I'm big on sequencing the album, man. So if you don't hear it in order, then you're not hearing it the way it's supposed to be heard.
Exactly. So the art is not like,
it's not
like
the
looking
same
at a painting.
And the way I do
glasses
things too is I'll put the skit that's supposed to introduce the next song behind the previous song.
Right.
So if you hear it out of order, it's not dropping into the right.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So you have to hear it in order to get the full gist of what's going on.
So please, brother Nino, get that on Apple Music for us, my brother. Let's go to who were some of your influences when it came to production?
Early was Premier, because when I first heard DeWick, I'm like, oh shit, you don't really have to know how to play an instrument to be a producer.
Right.
Because in my head, producers played every instrument. They knew how to use every piece of equipment in the studio. And listening to DeWick, I'm like, I could do this shit. So Premier definitely, RZA definitely, Dr. Dre, probably those three. Those three were my influences as far as just like, and when I say influences, I don't mean like I made music to sound like them. Right. They just showed me that there was different ways to attack this shit. You know, because they were all different. Right. Even though people might think Primo and, you know, like, let's just say a producer like Pete Rock, they'll think Pete Rock and Primo, they're the same type. Nah. No. If you listen to music, you know Pete Rock is more soulful. Primo chops the shit up more. It's a different bounce. Dr. Dre is more like, the sonics are different from Dr. Dre. You know what I'm saying?
Dr. Dre, to me, lets the whole sample play without chopping it and then builds on it.
Right.
Like the sample's the base of it, of the cake, and then he builds on it. Where Primo takes the cake and he chops it up into
And Dr. Dre's
pieces.
music will sound good in anything you play it. Your car, your house, headphones, your laptop speakers. That's his calling card to me. It's his sound. Sonically, there's nobody better than Dre sonically. Yeah. So I took that from Dre. As far as like paying attention to detail with sonics, you know what I'm saying? And then with Premier, the way he chops samples, I'm like, all right, cool. I got to be precise with the way I chop. So I took that from him. You know what I'm saying? So certain people, you're just like, and like with RZA, it was more so about RZA found a way to find the right vibe in every sample. He caught the part of the sample where you're like, damn, like this shit makes you think. You know what I'm saying? Like you listen to Cream, you listen to Can It All Be So Simple? Like certain records, you're like, he found the perfect part to this sample and he used it to the best of its ability. So all three of them, I took certain shit from them where I'm like, you know what? When I start to do this, I'm going to pay attention to all of these things. And I think I try to do that even up until now. You know, like at first I didn't know how to do it.
Right.
But once I figured it out along the way, I apply it to all the music I make. You know what I'm saying? Or I try to at least.
Did you ever go back and do any form of like studying of like music theory or?
No, I was never.
Everything was hands-on, self-taught.
That's the only way to learn.
Yeah.
That's the only way to learn. It's like I'm big on, like I'm a big fan of boxing, like we was talking about earlier. Until you get hit, nobody could teach you how to move, how to get out of the way of that punch.
Right.
They could tell you, oh, this is how you weave. But until somebody really puts hands on you, it won't matter until that moment.
Yeah. And you got to feel the punch.
Exactly. It's the same thing. So saying that I studied music theory, it's like, to me, it made no sense because I was hands-on.
Right.
I learned on the job with everything with this. Learn how to use Pro Tools on the job. Learn how to use this on the job. Everything you see around me, I learned on the job. So I learned how to hook all this shit up on the fly, on the job. You know what I'm saying?
So that means you're still learning.
Right, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Like, I don't bring people in and say, yo, hook my equipment up for me, get the sound right, do this, do that. I learned on the job.
Right.
I went to college to be an architect. So every studio I've ever been in, I designed all my own studios. You know what I'm saying? Just because I had that knowledge already.
You know what's bugged out? You ended up being an architect.
In a sense.
Of sound.
In a sense, yeah.
Shout out to that, man.
See how funny life is, man? And that's why I've learned, the biggest thing I've learned over the last 5 years is that if you're asking for any blessing, make sure that you're specific.
Right.
Because God has a funny way of playing tricks with you in the sense of simple things, man. You can ask, like, you can say, you know what? This person around me is too lazy, man. I wish they would be awake more. And you ask for that just like that, right? Fast forward to months later, something might be wrong with this person and now they can't fall asleep. They're like, you understand? You're like, damn, I didn't want that to happen to him, but you wasn't specific.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
God's a funny guy, bro.
Right. Or you can say to God, you know what, yo, God, I need $1 million, right? But you didn't say how you want to get it. So he might put something in front of you that you'll never do and be like, you know what? If you do this or do that, you'll get $1 million.
Right.
Like, but God, I ain't want $1 million like this.
Yeah.
You didn't say that. You weren't specific.
I can't go against my morals.
You weren't specific is what I'm saying to you. When you ask for anything in this life, you have to be specific down to the last T and dot the last I. You have to be super specific. And I've learned that over the last 5 years is that's why the saying goes, be careful what you ask for.
Right. Because
you might get it.
Yeah.
Because when people ask for shit, it's real open-ended.
Right.
Yo, God, I just need a job. I don't care. Just please get me a job.
Yeah. That'd be the worst job.
You want a job? I'll give you a job. I hate my job. If I wish that, but you didn't say that. You just asked for a job.
He
gave you a
job. Here it is.
That's what I'm saying to you. Whatever you want in life, you have to be specific. Yeah. You want platinum plaques, and you want be real specific. This is how I want to get them. This is who I want to get them with.
Yeah.
You have to be specific, man.
And then put in the work too. Don't just
that's a given. Yeah. That's a given. Anybody that thinks that they're just gonna wish for shit and it's gonna fall in their lap, you're bugging. I'm saying for the people that work hard and they're striving to what they want to do, when you ask for certain gifts, be specific, man.
Yep. And your manifestations, you got to be specific. Absolutely.
Super specific. And I know that sounds crazy to people that haven't been through it, but God has a strange way of playing games with you when you're not specific.
Nah, I say it all the time. God's a funny character, bro.
Yeah.
He'll do stuff to you, you know. It ends up being all for the best, but it's never a straight line. It's gonna be curvy and twisty. We spoke of your producer influences. Do you have any favorite rappers? Like, do you have I don't want to say a top 5 because top 5s be whatever. Well, but just rappers that you fuck with.
Plural, right?
Yeah.
Jay. Always been a big fan of Jay. I know it sounds crazy to say, but Cam. I was a fan of Cam from before I met Cam. 357 Cam. Rappers. Scarface. I'm a big Scarface fan.
Oh, shout out to Scarface.
I still think that The Fix is one of the top 10 albums of all times.
Dope.
My opinion. I know people might disagree, but yeah, Scarface. Rappers. Damn, I can think of all. I mean, obviously, like Eminem. I don't listen to like recent Eminem.
Right.
But you know, all the early Eminem, I was hooked on that. Marshall Mathers Project. You know what I mean? The Eminem. What was it? The
Eminem Show.
Eminem Show.
Yeah.
All that shit. You know what I'm saying? But now, Jay, like I said before, Scarface, and Cam, those are like my favorite rappers as far as like, they never really disappointed me with projects or shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Some were better than others.
Of course.
But they never. I got what I expected to get from those artists.
What's your favorite Cam album?
Probably Come Home With Me. But I like Confessions of Fire. I like SDE, but I feel like Come Home With Me was like his coming out party. I'm talking about Cam, so I gotta say pause. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that album kind of solidified him as like he's here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's my favorite Cam album is Come Home With Me.
Shout out to that, man. Did you do Welcome to New York City? No, that was just. Have you ever gotten to do anything with Jay?
Yeah, but it never made it out. Do
you still have it?
I never had it.
No? How about Scarface?
Yeah, I did a joint with Scarface and Ghostface on K-Slade's album called Face Off.
Shout out to that.
And I did the Scarface remix with I forgot who's I think it was Anthony Hamilton was on the hook. This was years ago. I don't even know whatever happened to that record, but I've never worked like one-on-one with Scarface, no.
Like in studio?
Yeah, it's always been like a feature. Meaning like I never worked on anything for his project.
Okay.
It was like either a feature or a remix they asked me to do or some shit like that.
And then Cam, we know you got.
Oh yeah, endless.
Much work. Does Cam, well, I don't know. You don't have to answer this question if you don't choose to. He took a big break between whatever his last album was. Was it maybe... I don't remember what the last album was before Purple Haze 2, but there was like a 7-year gap, I think, between projects. From
what I remember, because I think he said it during the interview, I think his mother had got sick at that time.
Right.
So he was in, I don't know if they were in Florida, but he was taking care of her, you know, for a lot of that time. So I think that's what it was. And I'm only saying that because I think he said that on an interview before, he had taken some time off to take care of his mother. So, because Cam is not the type of artist that gets cold. Right. Meaning like, Cam heats up whenever he wants to.
Right.
If he feels like, okay, cool, niggas ain't talking about me enough, he pops up with, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, Cam can heat up at any time. So I never look at Cam as like, if he has a down times because he chooses that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, some artists know how to promote themselves no matter what. Like, you look at Fat Joe. Fat Joe has been relevant for 3 decades. That's crazy. He was relevant in the 90s. Matter of fact, is it 4 now? Because late 90s, 4 different decades.
Yeah, 90s, the olds,
early
the
2000s, the
10s,
10s.
yeah.
So for 4 different decades, Fat Joe has been relevant.
Yep.
That's impossible to do.
And he's not slowing down.
That's what I'm saying to you. So certain artists can do that. Cam can do that. Fat Joe can do that. Without saying Jay-Z can do that. I mean,
right.
He's Jay-Z. You know what I mean? It's not a lot of artists that can do that.
Yeah, longevity and hip hop are not.
They don't go hand in hand because they look at it as a young man's sport.
Yeah.
It's just now we're starting to accept the fact that we have nice 40-year-old rappers.
Right.
Maybe even a 50-year-old. Like we niggas are nice now.
Yeah.
The age don't even play a factor no more.
Yeah.
And I think the minute that we can start looking at it for what it is, like this dude is just good.
Yeah.
We tend to put an age on it, like, yeah, but he's 42, 43. Like, who gives a fuck?
But it's weird that they look at it as a negative, right? Because you would figure, yes, he's 43, so now he has 43 years worth of wisdom.
But guess who looks at it like that? The niggas that's in their 20s.
Yeah.
They don't think they're gonna be 40 something trying to make music. In their head, it's like, what are you talking about? Like by that time, I'll be doing some other shit. No, you won't.
Yeah.
You think you will, nigga. You don't know how fast these years move.
Like you said earlier, man, when you're that age, you don't even think you're gonna make it to 30.
But these niggas are bugging. I'll have there's dudes that I had conversations with 10 years ago. They was like 25. I told niggas what to do. Yo, make sure you don't slip up. Make sure you do this, you do that. Yo, nigga, I'm good, man. I'm 25. I got mad time. All right. I run into these niggas 10 years later. Now they 35. Still trying to do the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
How I feel now, nigga?
That time goes by quick.
Yeah, how does it feel now? You brushed me off 10 years ago like I was bugging.
Yep.
Now you 35. Because when I was talking to you, nigga, I was 35.
Mm-hmm.
You was 25. Now I was 45. Now you 35.
And
how does it
still
feel?
In the same spot.
That's what I'm saying. Years move too fast. You got to move now. Fuck the bullshit. You got to go now. You know what I'm saying? Like, people try to wait. What are you waiting for?
Yeah. And tomorrow's not promised, guys. You fuck
Tell
around
people
and walk
my
out and
mother's
get hit by a
favorite
bus,
saying,
man.
like I told him, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Exactly. So to go back to the question to Cam, you think Cam will drop another album?
I think so.
Have y'all worked on something?
We got a bunch of shit. Me and Cam might have an album worth of shit.
That never came out?
Yeah.
How about you and Jim?
How much records we got left right now?
Do you have enough, you think?
For an album?
Yeah.
Nah, not for an album. Me and Jim right now probably, because we've done records recently in the last 6 months. We might have about 6 new records together. Not completed though, but 6 records that we started skeletons on. But that's how El Capo started.
Right.
We started doing a bunch of skeletons to records, and before you know it, we're 20 records in and we're like, all right, cool, we're gonna finish this, this, and this. And that's how the whole shit kind of started to snowball. You know what I'm saying? But
Are there any artists out there that you haven't worked with that you want to work with that may not be so obvious to us? Like Hove, that's Hove. Everybody want to work with Hove. But maybe an artist that we might not think that you have on your radar?
I'd love to do some work with Anderson .Paak.
No shit.
Yeah, I think that'd be dope. Who else? Who might be a wild card for me to say that nobody would expect that I've always wanted to work with? I'd love to do some. I would love to see what it sound like if I did some work with Tyler the Creator. I would just love to hear what it sounds like.
I wouldn't be against that,
Yeah,
man.
you
His
know what I
last
mean?
album, the one that was the DJ Drama inspired mixtape, that was a dope hip hop album from an artist that maybe doesn't always deliver the most hip hop of albums.
Yeah,
you know
I would love
mean?
to hear what that sounds like. Just out of
dope.
curiosity.
Yeah, hopefully Tyler, Anderson .Paak, if y'all see this, man, holla at the brother.
Yeah, you never
Arsonist.
know, man. You never know. Life is funny like that.
Now, in the year 2024, you've been in this game, what,
Jesus
20
Christ.
years probably, right?
22 years.
We've gotten
well,
to the...
Diplomatic Immunity came out in what, 03?
Yes.
Cannabis joint came out in what, 99?
I think 99. No, his first joint came out.
No, that record came out in 99.
Right? Yeah, 98.
The sequel came out in 99. So I've been in the game professionally.
Like 25 years.
Holy shit, it's my 25th year anniversary.
You got to celebrate.
I didn't even know that. You just pointed that shit out.
Shout out to that, man.
25 years. Holy shit.
Amen to that. Speaking of longevity, brother, you are an example of hip-hop
25
longevity.
years. I've been doing music longer than half my life.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that till this interview right now.
You're married to the music, brother.
Holy shit, 25 years. That's fucking
Shout
crazy.
out to that.
Shit.
Damn, that's just so crazy. I forgot the question I was gonna ask you.
Yeah, 25 years. Fuck, you just pointed that out.
What was the freaking question?
It don't even matter no more, man. It don't even matter. We just figured out it's been 25 years.
I know the question. You've been in this game a long time.
Right.
You've now gotten to the point that people are sampling you and what you've done. How does that make you feel?
Which answer you want, man? You want the real answer? You want the industry?
I always want the real answer. I want the real answer so long as it is not going to get you in any...
Couple of things. Here's the real answer. There's a couple of answers to the real answer. One is, I'm still here. It's not like I'm dead and you trying to show me love and rejuvenate my shit. Like, I'm here. I'm alive and well. Come to the source.
Right.
That's one. And two, I guess it goes back to one. If you know I'm still here, how do you feel doing that?
Right.
Like, I'm right here. Like, it's not even like, I don't know. I just don't know. It's like, because certain artists have done it who are from my era.
Right.
Meaning, like, when I say done it, I mean, like, been a part of that record. Mm-hmm. And I'm like...
You could have came to the original.
It's like when I heard Drake say on an interview, he told 40 make him some Dipset Heatmakers shit.
Right.
I'm alive, nigga. I'm right here, nigga. Like, he doesn't have to make you that. The Heatmakers himself can make you that.
Let me tell you something. I fuck with Drake. I don't care.
Nah, Drake is nice.
I don't.
Drake is nice. Niggas can say whatever they want.
I would fuck with a Drake Heatmakers joint.
I think everybody would.
Yeah. I think
Let me tell you something. Yo, Drake, what's the camera I'm talking?
Yeah,
Drake,
please,
man.
both,
Let me tell you something,
them.
man. For the people, it's only right, man. You don't have to ask 40 to make Heatmakers, Dipset shit. The source is sitting right here. I'm alive.
Hell yeah.
That's it, man.
You know what would be nice? I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to manifest it for y'all. If y'all decide to follow up El Capo with another Jim Jones Heatmakers project, and you get a Drake feature on it, that shit'll be fire. If you can't do the Drake solo joint because Drake is whatever, busy, big
Drake gonna do it, man. He gonna come to his senses and do it. He gonna see this shit right here. We're gonna speak it into existence. He gonna see it right. Man. He didn't even gotta come in here. It's all good. You can work with technology, man. You can send shit back and forth. It don't matter. If you want to come here, cool. I'll come to Canada, cool. It don't even matter. Let's just give the people what would be good. What would be good for the people. You know what I mean? Man. The type of shit we would make together.
And that's where hip hop is going back to. Like
that shit would change the game, man.
The cyclical nature of hip hop. We're going back to now hip hop, not this pop recreation. To go back to my man the RZA, sampling the R&B loop and whatever. Now we're getting back to some hip hop, man. So shout out.
Oh yeah, and I'm working with my man 38 Special too. I forgot 38 Special.
Oh, big shout out to 38 Special. So how many projects do you have in the chamber right now?
That's on their way out.
That's on their way out. That you can speak of.
I'll tell you the ones that are done. Me and Joel Ortiz finished our project. It's called War, with all respect.
Shout out to that.
I'm working with another artist named Amir. He signed to Pete Rock. He's Pete Rock's artist, but me and him just finished a project called No Soul Left Behind. Working with another artist by the name of I Born. He's a lieutenant for the FOI, lieutenant for Westchester division of FOI.
Right.
And the dope part about working on a project with him is that we've used a lot of like Farrakhan samples, but because he's so close to the nation, he has to get that cleared.
Right.
He can't just put the shit out. And so a lot of the music we've made has to be sent to Farrakhan for approval. You know what I'm saying?
So it can't be on some bullshit.
Right, exactly. So we got that project. His name is I Born. The project is Born Again. And it's incredible. You know what I mean? And me and well, this isn't done, but me and Locksmith just started a project a couple weeks ago. You know Locksmith from the Bay.
Yeah.
And that's probably gonna be like a 10-song project. And then, some other artists the bigger artists that I don't want to name because in case they flake and it don't come through, I don't want to look like a dickhead. So, But
you stay busy.
Yeah, I stay busy.
Shout out to that.
I'm not mad at all. I love where my career is at because I don't have to do anything I don't want to do.
Right.
We real time, so the phone is ringing. Don't worry about it, man.
And now you've gone beyond only producing you know, songs for artists. Like we said earlier,
Right.
you have the Peloton thing that you're working on. You have the Akai partnership that you're doing.
Oh, and I got a headphone partnership I did
a
too.
headphone partnership.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that later. That's at the beginning stages.
Can we talk about the Spider-Man thing?
Because that didn't come through. So yeah, we could definitely talk about it.
You were in talks to produce the lead for the Spider-Man
Yeah, because
multiverse
I'm
movie.
signed to Sony Publishing, and you know, when certain things come across their desk, they hit me up to see if I'm interested, and that was one of them. But Metro Boomin ended up getting it because one, I think they just fuck with what he did, and he's a streaming monster. So to them, it's like it works for us on both sides. We give it to him, it's automatically gonna stream because he comes with streams, which is all good. I understand how the game works. So I'm never mad at shit like that. I just feel like I gotta work harder to eliminate that type of shit from happening.
Right.
You know what I mean? But everything happens for a reason. That same record I did for the Spider-Man shit turned out to be a crazy record with this artist by the name of Angel Hill.
Angel Hill, shout out to
that.
Angel Hill.
I know that record is gonna be a big record. It's not out yet, but I know a big record when I hear it. You know what I mean? And that record is a monstrous record to me.
I got to hear some of it, and it's fire. Do you ever think you'll go into, speaking of being signed to Sony, do you ever think you might have an interest in possibly like scoring a movie?
Yeah, that's my next goal.
Yeah?
My next goal is to do that. Like that's on my bucket list. Like I have to do that. You know, like I think like that's just natural progression for me.
Right.
Because I feel like when I make certain music, I can see the picture behind it. You know what I mean? So I want to do that. So that's anybody watching, man. If you're in charge of any you know, any film that might call for some Heatmaker music, let's do it, man.
There you go.
The right
Shout
film.
out
The
to
right
that.
film.
Yes,
Not
sir.
no you know, not no fuckery, man.
Not no fugazi shit,
Yeah,
please.
some nice, you know, some nice work.
Yes, sir. Sir, do you have any shout outs to give to anyone?
Shit, anybody that's a fan of me, man, I shout them out. Cause you know, in my head, I don't have fans. So when people run down on me and say certain shit, I'm like, I'm humble, man. So even hearing your stories about
Absolutely
the records you fuck with, I'm humble, man. And thank you again, you know what I'm saying, for even wanting to interview me. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't take none of this shit for granted. I don't look at it like niggas have to interview me because I did X, Y, and Z. It's like I understand how the game works, and sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind. But luckily, my music has been able to transcend time and you know allow me experiences like this, man. So thank you.
Thank you, brother. You've
For sure.
provided the soundtrack to our lives for over 20 years, and we thank you for that, my brother.
Thank you, my brother.
Rsonist of the Heatmakers. Make sure y'all follow him on Instagram at official Heatmakers. Make sure you're following all the music. Follow him on YouTube, on all the platforms. Make sure you stay up to date on Apple Music. Mad projects coming soon.
Yes, sir.
As always, chin up, chest out, carry yourself with honor, carry yourself with pride, and we out, my brother. Thank you again, bro.
Love.